The second saying comes from Luke chapter 23, verse 43. And he said to him, "Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." This statement by Jesus comes as a direct response to a request by one of the thieves on the cross that was being crucified with him. In order to put this in context, I'm going to go back a few verses and I'm going to read from verse 36 to verse 43 from the ESV. The soldiers also mocked him, coming up and offering him sour wine and saying, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was also an inscription over him, "This is the king of the Jews." One of the criminals who was hanged railed at him, saying, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we need indeed justly, for we are receiving the due reward of our deeds. But this man has done nothing wrong." And he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And he said to him, "Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." To put this in the circumstances that surrounded this, Jesus had been insulted from 4 different sources that are happening at this time. First, by the passers-by. We find that in Matthew 27, 39 through 40. Then by the religious leaders. Then by the soldiers, as we just read in this passage. And then, as Matthew 27, 44 says, and the robbers who were crucified with him also reviled him in the same way. But at some point during this time, one of those criminals that was on the cross had a change of heart. He repented. He changed, and we know this by the statements that he made. He confessed his guilt. He rebuked the other criminal. He declared Jesus' innocence. And he recognized Jesus' kingship. And his request shows that he was aware of his spiritual need. So the request that he made was, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." The response Jesus gave was, "Truly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." The thief asked simply to be remembered. And Jesus promised a personal, intimate association when he said, "with me." The thief asked for kindness at some future time and some vague kingdom, and Jesus promised today and paradise. You might think of this passage similar when Joseph asked the cupbearer to remember him to the king. It's that same kind of request, and Jesus made a promise that today and in paradise. What do we take away from this? I got 3 or 4 things that I share. The first one I get is it's never too late. Even a criminal so terrible that man would consider him worthy of death could be forgiven by Jesus. Jesus' death on the cross and his promise to the thief next to him represents a compassion that Christ has for all mankind and ultimately for each one of us. And finally, the same promise and hope that was offered to the thief is offered to us today. So just that loved one you're praying for, that friend that you've been praying for years, just remember that it's never too late and the promise is for us today.
Wow. Just a